make it easier to numb out all the pain. Not like anything was wrong, it never made it right. You're the one to come on strong, so why am I all alone? Here we go again, the same old thing. Smiling through a bleeding heart, I'll fake it till I break apart. Shadows flicker, but there's no light. I laugh along, though it's not right. The silence cuts beneath the white. I'm tired of echoes that don't stay. Fading voices drift away. I need something real to say. A spark to drive the dark away. Hollow conversations caught in a loop. Circling phrases with nothing to prove. I'm listening closer, but it's all unseen. The empty cracks
Getting rocks. Interesting.
Another day gone, seems I just arrived. All so close, but low on time. Move so far, was so near. Leaving here. Always so around the bend, always hoping time stood still, always know sun, drawing low, forest bone, blood red light, angry sea, light the way for me. Today is not a day for
Ooh. 2-star. No. What's that?
City hums, it knows my secrets. I'm awake, tangled in regrets. Every scar I try to hide led me here, nowhere to run tonight. There's a spark I can't contain, rising slow through all my veins. I'm breaking through, leaving shadows, walking past the nights that try to hold me. Every part of me is finally awake. I'm standing, I won't break. Your words echo when the world goes silent. Even when the night feels violent, corners of fear I can't disguise. Something in me finally feels alive. There's a spark I can't control. It's alive, running through my soul. I'm breaking through, leaving shadows, walking past the nights that try to hold me. Every part of me is finally awake. I'm standing, I won't break. No rewinds, no second guess. Every broken piece of me finds its rest. I'm standing now. I'm standing, I won't
Look at the beautiful ocean, man. The beautiful water. Love it. I love the water in this game. Level 12. Ouch. Hey, good morning, man. How's it going?
everything you never do and all you never say. Never make it easier to numb out all the pain. Not like anything was wrong, it never made it right. You're the one to come on strong, so why am I all alone?
Good morning. Yeah, it is early. I'm not gonna play too long because it's 4:40 a.m. I tried to sleep earlier, but I'm still struggling with insomnia, so. Well, I went to bed around 9 p.m. and I slept till about 12:30, I think. I mean, I tried to get up and play the game, but they were doing maintenance at 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. basically. So I lied down again and tried to sleep, but then I couldn't sleep. And then I get up at 3, and here I am trying to play, but I'm gonna try to get back to sleep at some point because I got to work at 9:30. Although I don't know, I may call out of work. I don't know, man. I'm having a hard time. Yeah, my wife's having my wife's mom had a stroke and she's been taking care. Her mom can't walk or talk or anything, so my wife basically moved in with her mom and is taking care of her sick mom. You know, so things have been pretty rough around here. So yeah, thanks, man. So it's just been I have because of all the stress. My wife's going through so much stress, you know. So I've been um, it's just been tough. Anyway, we got a ram here, so we can try to turn that into a mount. Although we don't really need a ram mount, but some high level mobs here. This is gonna be rough. Oh shit! No! Can we get through here? Anyways, I've been playing the Ranger, and it's pretty cool. I wasn't sure if I'd like the Ranger because they seemed really mana intensive, but I've already played pretty much every other class in the game. Pretty much, I haven't played the Elemental or the Summoner, but I don't typically like pet classes like Summoners, so I wasn't too interested in it. And after leveling my tank, I've got one tank I leveled to 18, then I re-rolled a tank and leveled her to 20 because I wanted to play the Vec. After grinding to 20 solo, which is brutal, by the way, like super brutal, um, I needed a break. I was like, oh man, I need a break. So I'm just trying to work the auction house on the marketplace and make money, which I need to go log on my other character and put some more auctions up. Uh, this is an interesting city. This city doesn't really look like. One of the things in Ashes is, although I will say the city's a little bit different layout, it's a little bit more structured, which I like. But in general, the cities all kind of have they just reuse assets. A lot of the assets are just reused. You see a lot of the same walls, same stairs, same buildings, which is a little bit disappointing that they're also similar, but I think they look nice. I like the way the buildings look. Do I want to train a ram? I don't think so. I don't really need a ram mount. They're slow. We'll see how much it costs. If it doesn't cost too much money, maybe we'll do it. But if it's like 50 silver, I think I might have to pass. Let's take a look. I don't even I don't even see the ram in here. Interesting. How was it? Here, hold on a second. Huh. Maybe it's an aquatic mount. Interesting. There's no ram in here. So we have a ram that we can train, but we can't train rams. That's really bizarre. I don't know if that's some sort of weird glitch. Like, huh. Okay. Kind of weird. Well, let's just put it in the bank then. Ooh, I overshot my guy. Let's go with I think I am gonna go with the lumberjack. Although I typically don't like the lumberjacking satchels that much because the way they're structured. Not really a fan of how the bags work in this game. Actually, I really dislike how the bags. Maybe you can't do rams in this city region. Well, it's kind of weird. We acquired the ram right outside the city, so why it seems kind of unusual that. Yeah, I don't think that's it because the training is always the same. Like when you go and look at those trainers, they always pretty much look the same. So I'm kind of not sure. Yeah, I don't. You know what? Let's do this. It's for a regulator. Give me the mining. What's a fishing satchel look like? Like, I'm curious. Okay, it's like this. I typically like equipping mining satchels because they just seem to have the most slots. Interesting what's in the marketplace here. What do we got? We need some shoulders, probably. 21 pages. Holy. That's actually a lot. I didn't expect to see that many. Normally there's not that many auctions up here in the northern end region because I don't think people start in this region as much as they do. You know, in the they normally start down the south more often, I think, so. Yeah, so just interesting. Ever traversal is kind of tough. Yeah, it is. Yeah, like for example, that character there is level, I don't know, was she like level 6 or something? And it is tough because the map is absolutely ginormous, right? It's so, which is great. I love it. I love the fact that the map is so big, right? It's a good thing, you know. And as you get more money, you buy. You know, people have mounts in the auction house, the marketplace. You can buy better and better mounts that are faster and faster. So you start off with a horse, which is like 100 and I don't know, it's like maybe 130% speed. Then you end up by like a wolf, which is like 135% speed, and then you might upgrade to another mount that's 140% speed. And like currently, this character that I'm logging into now has a mount that's 160% speed, and she also has an aquatic mount that in the water is like 220% speed. So as you get more money, you just continue to upgrade your mounts and get faster and faster mounts, which helps you traverse the land a lot quicker. So and you can also, if you've got a really fast aquatic mount, there's a lot of rivers and lakes and water in the game, so you can try to use water as a good way to travel as well. Also, when you're traveling on a road, you move faster. Like your character moves faster, your mount moves faster on a road. So when you're traveling the world, you want to try to stay on roads because you're going to move quicker. There's going to be times where obviously you can go in a straight line, not on a road, and it might be faster because you're really saving. You know, like if I go to the map here, you can see the roads are like these dotted lines. Um, let's say I was wanted, like I was here, and I wanted to go maybe, like here or something. Obviously, I'm not going to stay on the road. I'm just going to cut over here. But if I'm here at Ursine Caves and I want to get to here, the stoneworks, if I've got a really fast aquatic mount, the best way to get there would be to get on the road, ride your regular mount, and then dismount here, get on the river, get on your aquatic mount, and take the river all the way down to here. If you've got a fast mount, which I actually do have a fast mount on this character, I have this one, which is the shoal skipper, kind of like a walrus. And then I have my fast ground mount, right? Which is my bird, right? This one. And you can see it's pretty quick. So yeah, so just so getting upgrading your mounts as you go through, as you get level, more money and you level up is going to really help you traverse the land quicker. Just put up some auctions, try to make it some money.
Another day gone, seems I just arrived. All so close, but low on time. Move so far, was so near. Carry the weight of leaving here. Always something on the hill. Always chasing around the bend. You say you wanna find the perfect air to breathe, but all I want
Um,
is you.
I think it is on the right track. Yes, I do. But there are definitely things that need to be corrected. You know, like the way PvP works for crate runs and stuff. Like people could like load up their mount, their mule with crates and try to transport it from one city to another to make money. And there's a lot of paths that people are going to figure out. Like this is still alpha, but by the time the game gets released, a lot of the stuff, since the game is going to be in early access development for a very long time, but it's going to be like Baldur's Gate 3. By the time the game gets released, everybody's going to pretty much figure out most of the things about how the game works. And so there's these choke points where the crates are going to get attacked. People are going to try to steal the crates. And what you can't do is you can't attack someone in this game. If they're not flagged PvP, you can attack them, but you have to flag up and attack them. And if you do kill them and loot their stuff, you will get the corrupt debuff, which is a really vicious debuff because I think it gives you like 25% reduced stats and health, something like that. But it's a really bad debuff. You can't go to cities; the guards will attack you on sight. And so to get around that, what people do is they create alts, like they'll have some person like a guild, like a group of players, like level 25 players, like 4 level 25 players who get somebody in their guild who's like a low beat like level 10, and they'll have the level 10 rogue stealth and attack the person who's carrying the crates. They'll have the rogue attack their mount and kill their mount. And if the person carrying the crates doesn't want their mount to be killed, they'll have to attack the level 10 rogue. And of course, once they attack the rogue, they'll flag PvP. Then the level 25 guys who are hiding can jump that person and kill them without any negative aspects, without getting corruption, and then steal the crates. So some people would say that's okay. Some people would say, well, that's just smart PvP or something, but it's not really. It's kind of griefing, really. And I'm not a big fan of. I like PvP, but I'm not a fan of the city mayorship crap that they have in this game. Like, for example, on the server that I'm on, which is this server here, like the people that took over some of the cities put the tax rates at like 100%, so that basically nobody would be able to sell stuff at the cities, because it was too expensive. Well, nobody able to buy stuff in the cities because it was too expensive. They didn't want to pay 100% tax, so it slows down other players in the game from being able to acquire and make money via the marketplace. So these people that controlled some of these cities were doing this on purpose to slow down other players so that they could progress ahead of the other players. And then when the mayorship came back up, because I think you get mayorship for, I think, a month or something, or maybe it's a couple weeks. I'm not sure how long it is. But then people vote for the new mayor. And of course, nobody wants to vote for these people because they had 100% tax rate. So they, knowing they're not going to win the mayor voting, they purposely destroy, which I didn't even know you could do this, but they purposely destroy all the marketplace vendors in their own cities so that people can't, like, people who take over control of the city don't even have, like, the shops anymore. I don't know, it's just weird. So there's all these ways that the game can kind of be exploited to do stuff that really isn't fair, to be honest. And again, some people might think it's fair, but it's just not very good gameplay mechanics. So there's things like that that need to be looked at, and need to be corrected. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not a fan of point control, like city control by players, because players are assholes. I think if you're gonna do that, you have to put strict rules in place to prevent players from doing stuff that could be considered kind of griefy, kind of not really fun mechanics. The whole point of an MMO is the whole point of any video game is to have fun, and allowing players to do stuff that ruins the fun for other people. I don't ever think it's a good mechanic, So, but beyond that, there's things in the game that need to be fixed. The marketplace is really awful. Like if I want to search for bracers for my character, I say, oh, I want to search for bracers. I can't just go in here and say search item and put in a filter that says, bracers. I can't do that. I mean, I can search for bracers, but I can't put in like item by slot in my inventory. All I can filter by is the rarity, which is really stupid because, it's nice. It's nice that I can filter by rarity, but the way gear works is from level 1 to 9, you can only wear initiate gear. From level 10 to 19, you can only wear adept gear. And from level 20 to, I'm assuming, 29, you can wear radiant gear. So since I can't even equip gear that isn't initiate gear, why would I not have a filter here that says just search for items that are initiate, grade initiate? Because that's the only gear I can equip anyway. So just, missing out on something so simple as that of filters in this is really awful. So, and there was a feedback form that we were able to fill out. Like we all got emails, right, that said, here's a survey you can fill out. And the survey had to be turned in, I think, by today or yesterday. I filled mine out already. And the questions were, what do you like most about the game? What do you like least about the game? And then do you have any other comments for the developers? And when I said what I like least about the game, I definitely put the marketplace as probably the single most annoying part of the game right now, because it takes way too long to find gear. Like when you hit like level 10 and you want to find adept gear, it takes way too long to find just gear, because you're searching by names, because since there's no initiate filter, like if I'm looking for a chest piece, I have to go in here and say, okay, breastplate, right? And I just have to search by that, and then I have to go through here and look, and then I can see, okay, well, this is adept, I can't equip that. Okay, I go here again, can't equip these because there's a red X on them. Like here's doesn't have a red X, so this I can equip, right? And to make things worse, the game has all these different names for the items. Like, see, this breastplate is not called breastplate, it's called cuirass. And some will be called chest. So if I do a search for, like, that was breastplate, if I do a search for, like, chest, I might find, like, a chest piece called chest. And then you know what I mean? Or if I do a search for cuirass, right? So now you've got to know all the different various names they've come up with for these items. Gloves could be called gloves. They could be called gauntlets. Leggings could be called greaves. They could be called pants, or they could be called legs. So you're having to search for all these different things. And then if there's a lot of results, you have to click on every different store, and you've got to look and try to find, like, oh, and here's another one, trousers, right? So leggings could be called pants, leggings, greaves, trousers. So there's just, the marketplace is awful. It's just really bad. Like, you waste a lot of time just trying to find things. And also, if you want to sell something, now you've got to do the same thing. If you want to sell pants, well, now you got to go through all those pants and try to find out, well, You know, what is a good price for my pants? You know, that's not quite as bad because you can just search for it. Like if I was gonna sell, this Oath Delve sash, I would probably just search for it. Oath Delve sash, right? And there's none in the auction house. Steel Glade earring, there's probably going to be some of those. Steel Glade earring, because they're pretty common, right? You can say, oh, Steel Glade earring, 11 silver. Okay, here's one for 2 silver. So if I wanted to sell something, this earring, you know, probably, I'm not going to get more than like, you know, a little bit less than 2 silver. So in my feedback to the devs, I said, look, all you got to do is go to World of Warcraft or Guild Wars 2, look at how the auction houses work in those games, make this auction house work like that auction house. That's all you got to do. It's not rocket science. If you make the marketplace here work exactly like World of Warcraft's auction house, everybody in the game is going to be happy, right? No one's going to be like, oh, I can't believe the auction house works like WoW's auction house. No one's going to say that. You know why? Because people like the auction house in World of Warcraft. It works. It's really good. It's easy to use, and it works. And that's what people want. People want systems that are polished, that work. And there's too many systems in this game that aren't polished. And there's too many systems in this game that are just head scratchers. You're like, why would you do it this way? You know. So those are the things that they need to fix. And I put down the marketplace, and some of the UI stuff for crafting is probably the stuff that was most critical that needed to be corrected. You know, if I go into here and I say, oh, I want to make, you know, I want to craft ink, you know, the thing here about this system that sucks is the ingredients for red ink are water and ruby powder. In most crafting systems, if you had water and ruby powder in your inventory, you could just come to this selection and just hit craft, because it would be smart enough to know that, hey, in my inventory, I've already got water and ruby powder. But that's not the way it works here. Here I've got to click and add the ruby powder. Now the water, I think it knows, right? So if I go buy some water, right? If you go to materials here, let's say we buy 1 water, right? Purchase. Now we've got 1 water. And if I go back to ink, it knows that I have water. So it's really interesting to me that it knows that I have water, but if I were to have ruby powder in my bag, it wouldn't know that I have ruby powder. I would have to go in here, click add, take the ruby powder and select it and, you know, put it over here, then click submit. And then after I click submit, then I could start the job. So stuff like this doesn't make sense. It's like, it knows I've got the water. Why doesn't it know if I've got ruby powder in my bag? And so you should just be able to come here and click start job. So that's another thing that needs to be fixed, you know. And, you know, the list goes on. I mean, I could sit here and go through just a laundry list of things that, you know, mounting is really annoying. When you summon a mount, you have a keybind to bring your mount out, but then you have to hit another keybind to mount the mount, right? And if you want to mount the mount, if you want to dismount, you can use the same keybind you used to mount it, and your mount will stay out, right? Or you can hit the keybind you used to summon the mount, and it will get rid of your mount, and you'll dismount. The problem with this is that the keybind used to mount the mount has to be a specific new keybind. Like most games that, and I can only think of one other game where when you summon your mount, it summons the mount and then you have to hit another keybind to mount the mount. I can only think of one other game that does that. Most games, I can't remember if Final Fantasy does that. Most games when you summon them out, like World of Warcraft, you summon them out, you automatically mount up, right? It's automatic, right? But Black Desert Online works like this, where if you summon them out, it comes out, and then you have to get on them out. But in Black Desert Online, you just use your interact key, right? So you just go up and hit your interact key. And so that's the biggest problem with this game, is that you can't use your interact keys. For example, if I go to talk to a vendor, my interact key is my T key. So I go up to this vendor and I get a little solid circle. I hit T to interact with this vendor, right? So what I want is for me just to hit the T key to mount, because it's interact and it should just mount. And what's even more confusing about that doesn't work. What's even more confusing is if you go into the game options and you go to key binding and you look at this, the game actually has an interact keybind. It also has an interact 2 keybind, which I don't understand why it has an interact. It also has an interact 3 keybind, right? For me, control space. But really, why? It's like, why have one that's called interact? Why have one that's called interact 3 mount? This should just be T, right? To mount up the mount, you should just be able to hit your regular interact key. So this, again, this is just another head scratcher. It's like, why would you do this? Why would you make the players have to create a separate keybind? So it's a little odd. Well, it's very odd. And I've tried going in here and saying, you know what? Let's make this T, right? But if I make it T, then it unkeybinds my interact key, right? So I don't really understand what that's... And I don't understand what this V key is. So if I hit V, it doesn't do anything. Let me try if I hit V. Like, why would you have 2 interact keybinds? Let's see what happens if I hit V here. It doesn't do anything. So I don't even know what the interact 2 does. Obviously, it does something else that I'm not aware of. So those are some things that need to be fixed. The map's a hot mess. The map works, but it's a hot mess. There's all these black squares, like here. See these corners, and then the zoom in, zoom out's weird because if I go here and I zoom in, I click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had to click 5 clicks to get to here, but if I go back 5 clicks, it won't go back to where I was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe it did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, it looks like it's working. Okay, here's an area where it doesn't work. So we've got this level of zoom, and if I scroll backwards, it goes to here. If I scroll back once, it goes to here. If I scroll forward once, it doesn't go back to the previous where I was. Like, and then if I go to here, I'm not at that other area. See what I'm saying? Like, if I scroll back, so it's just weird. Like, if I scroll back one, I get this view. And if I scroll back one, I get this view. And if I scroll back forward, I get this view. And if I scroll forward again, I get this view, which is different than this view. So it's completely inconsistent. You know, that needs to be fixed. I don't know why it works. It's just completely inconsistent. Quest markers are weird. Like, I was over here trying to do this quest a minute ago, and I couldn't figure it out. It was saying kill these otters at the regulator, and I was standing right here, and there were no otters. So I see a lot of quests that are a little bit... Sometimes I don't know, they don't seem to be working right. I don't know, it's just weird. And it could be like a level thing, like up and down, but that seems pretty straightforward that it's on top of the structure, I would think. And I was on the bottom and I was on the top, and it's not there. So I see some inconsistencies with quest log. The other thing is the biggest other big thing in the game is to level to max level currently to level 25. If you're a solo player like I am, who plays pretty much solo, it's very difficult to level because the quests are only going to get you to like maybe level 12 if you're really hardcore doing quests. And then at some point, you're just going to be grinding mobs. And when you get up to like 18, it starts to become really difficult because there's not a lot of areas in the game that have level 18. Like, for example, if you're like, I mean, you can do it. It's hard. It's hard to level solo. It's very, very time consuming. It takes me about 6 hours. It took me about 6 hours on my tank to level from 18 to 19. And that's just 6 hours of grinding mobs nonstop. And then from 19 to 20, it took like another 6 or 7 hours, which is fine. I actually like grinding mobs, so it doesn't bother me too much. But there's a lot of players who definitely would not like that, who would definitely hate that. And so the game forces you, if you don't want to spend 6 hours grinding mobs to get a level, and that's on my tank, who's well, not the fastest leveler, but anyways, if you don't want to do that, and if the game's going to force you to group, and some people might not like being forced to group, like that. It kind of forces you, not really giving you an option to level other than just grinding mobs. Is going to piss off a lot of people. So that's something they have to address. The other thing, I mean, what else? There's so many things that need to be fixed. The gear crafting is very bizarre. Um, the crafting system is a little bit too complex sometimes, and it feels a little bit grindy, which I don't mind. But like, for example, if I want to get to the point where I can rank up a crafting, I've got to rank it, I think, to level 10. It takes a long time to level these up to rank 10, which again, I don't think that's really a big issue, but some people might not like that the leveling is a little bit grindy. But I personally, I do like it, so I don't have a problems with it. I don't have a problem with it, but some people may not like that. But the interface, as far as like the visual look of the windows, I think is really good. Like, I like the way the windows look. I think they're nice. They have the collapsible sections. They have a search utility, which is nice. So there's a lot of good things too in the game. Excuse me, the mini map is pretty good. You can minimize it. You can resize it. You can even change the opacity level of it. So there's a lot of cool stuff. You've got your quest log here. You can hide it. You can show it. The map has a really nice legend on it where you can show and hide different things on the map, which I think is really great. So I don't want to say all bad. There's a lot of good things in the game. The combat system is a lot of fun. You can see the game has pretty smooth character control. Actually, the character control is quite nice. The character moves very smoothly. The animations are, they're pretty good. They're not like, here, walk animations. Pretty good. It's pretty solid, Animations feel smooth. The mount, let's see. I don't know what happened. My mount's not summoning right now. There. Mount's pretty good. Mount animations I think are pretty solid. I like the graphics of the game. I think the graphics are fine, but a lot of people complain about the graphics. I'm not sure what they're really looking for. The graphics can't be super, super high fidelity. I mean, when you look at like the wood in here, I think it looks nice. I mean, to me, this is very good graphics, The lighting is a big problem. The lighting is really bad in the game. There's a lot of lighting issues, like really bad lighting issues. That's something that's definitely high on the list of things that definitely has to get corrected because it's just really bad. And when you talk about people saying the game looks bad graphically, that's probably what a lot of people are talking about is the lighting. And the world feels empty. A lot of times when you go to the map, the game is massive. It's absolutely massive. If you go to, like, for example, if you go down to some of these areas here, you start walking through these trees, there doesn't feel like there's a lot there. If you walk around New Ayla here, like all around New Ayla, there's hardly anything in the woods here. It's like almost completely empty. I don't know if that's just because there's, the game's obviously still in development. Same thing here. If you go to the desert, there just isn't, I mean, there's mobs, but there just isn't a lot of mobs. Same thing even just through here, there's mobs, but there's just not a lot of mobs. If you go to Miraleth here, you kind of walk around here, there's, again, not a lot of mobs. So definitely they need to increase the amount of mobs in the game, especially if you're going to force people to grind mobs, then you better give them some mobs to grind. So, but anyways, I think I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to go to bed, guys. I'm tired. I need some sleep. If I'm going to get any work done tomorrow, or this morning, I'm going to need some sleep. So I am playing the Ranger. I do think the Ranger is pretty cool. I'm kind of not used to the north here. I'm used to leveling down in this area here, the south. So, I've got these quests everywhere, so I guess I should try to do some of these. But I'm a little bit low level right now, and the leveling feels really slow. Most of my time playing this game is playing a tank, and tanks are, as the word says, they're very tanky. But I do feel like this character is not too bad because I was able to, when you first play the game and you start out and you don't have any money or anything, it's a lot more difficult because you don't have much gear and you're just killing mobs to get, you're doing quests and stuff to get gear. But when you have already have some characters, you can kind of to help your new characters out with some money and stuff. Um, Obviously, you can see here there's a whole. You can see there's some pop in here with the. You can see here all the concrete's not rendering properly. Like you can see here, this wall here is not rendered properly. And if I were to get closer, I would assume that this and this way they did this is chintzy. Some parts I would say graphically, some parts of the game do look really bad. Like I think this looks pretty awful. Also the textures, see how it's really how the textures are really blurry. They're not like loading in properly. Like it takes a long time. See here, like everything's blurry. Like right here, and let's see. You can see here. See how it's not the higher res textures. You know. Again here, this is a very blurry low res texture. Now if I sit here, it might upgrade the texture. I don't know. But yeah, again here too. So, and here too, really blurry, like low res textures. So if you, some parts of the graphics do look really, really bad. I mean, like overall, like if I look around, it looks fine. But when you start really like dissecting it, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't really look that good, especially for a game that's in Unreal Engine 5 that hasn't even released yet. I think a lot of people, I was talking to MMO Byte about this when I interviewed him a while back, and I asked him about Ashes of Creation. And one thing he said, which I agreed with, is it just feels like this game's already feels dated and it's not even out yet. And by the time, but what he said is he feels like by the time the game gets released, it's going to feel so incredibly outdated. And I think that is a concern. I think that's a major concern that the game could feel very outdated. But what is good about the game is the open world feels very open. Like it's a very massive open world. So there's a lot of immersion there. Like because it takes time to. I've never seen this mount before. I don't know what that mount is. It's an obsidian stallion. I've never seen an obsidian stallion before. But it can take a long time to travel the world, but that's what makes games immersive. To me, immersion is more important than one of the most important things in MMOs that you feel immersed. When you get lost in the game and you play the game for 6 hours, but it feels like you played it for an hour, that's a good thing. And I think that this game has that. You can definitely get immersed in this game. Um, you know, but some people may struggle with knowing what to do because they may feel like a lot of the systems are a little bit difficult to use. So I think that those are things that need to be corrected. Cleaning up the UI, cleaning up the marketplace, cleaning up the crafting windows, how crafting works, populating the world with a lot more mobs. Really working on the optimizations of the game, the textures. The game definitely needs a lot more high res textures. Also, let's add some. There we go. We're gonna add some vibrance and that's gonna make it feel a little bit better. It's probably too much color. Where's my sharpness at on here? I'm even gonna add more sharpness. Okay, so now that makes the game feel a little bit, my character's showing her helm. Okay, that's too dark though. Let's take this back down to here. Yeah, the other problem with the game is that the character model there's no light source attached to the character model. So, and the character models, this is another thing that I talked about, and I actually didn't put this in the feedback that I gave to Ashes of Creation and Intrepid Studios, but all the stuff, the cloaks, everything like obviously you can see, goes through the cloak, go through the hood. So hoods don't work properly. a lot of the armor has those issues of clipping. You know, obviously your horns, your hair, your ears are all clipping through the hood. That obviously needs to be corrected. Some of the armor looks really bad. Like this chest piece looks stupid. Like the how it's like so curved out. It's like way too bulged out in the chest. It doesn't really make sense. My character's breasts aren't that big. And then sometimes the game look really good. Like this sword looks fantastic. I mean, some of the textures that were really it's amazing to me that you have a texture on this sword that looks this good. It's like a really nice texture, right? Look at the detail, how the edge is sharp, and you know, it's got great reflectivity. This is where the Unreal Engine's lighting is really coming into play quite nicely. You can see the specular highlights on the metal here. Really, really, really looks great. So yeah, the sword looks fantastic. It looks like it was. It looks like the sword looks like it was made in a different game than the game that made this cloak, because this cloak looks so low. You know, the texture, everything looks so much lower quality. You know, my character's hair, you know, like this is very low quality texture to skin. You know, the character models in the game look like they were made in a game that's, you know, from 2000, you know, from 2010 or something. And the character models look like they were a game created in 2010 to 2012. And this is 2026, and the game's not even out yet. So to me, I would really like to see them completely redo the character models. That's something I think would go a long way towards making people feel better about the visual look of the game. So definitely need to upgrade the textures. Definitely need to upgrade the character models. Definitely need to fix the marketplace. Fix the UI interfaces with how do you manage your bags and your inventory. Also, like there's got to be a way to for you to transfer stuff between your own characters. Like currently, right now, you cannot give items from one of your characters to one of your other characters without either having another person to help you, like trading another player, giving them something, and then having them give that something to your other character, or creating a guild bank, or creating a guild and then using the guild bank. So right now, I've got that, right? I'm in a guild, right? And one of the single best benefit of the guild is that, if I can find where's the single best benefit of the guild is that it's shared storage. So I go here and I go here, and all of these items here in this items, I swear that it doesn't seem to break it out though. It's, like normally this is broken out. So if I go to my regular character storage, like here's a storage person. This is broken out by the items, like item section and materials. So here's materials, and then it shows you which cities that you've been to, you know, which cities that you've gone to, or other cities that you've been to, I guess, that you can look and see. Do you have anything in those cities? So if you've added materials, because city material storage is per city. So if I add like, you know, this water into here, you know, this is stuff I have in the city I'm currently in, which is Kaltorum. But if I click on Bonfire, if I were to go to the city or the settlement of Bonfire and add stuff to that material storage, it would show up here. Like when I'm back in this city, I could see what's in the other cities, right? Which is nice that you can see it. But again, look, notice here there's a section for items, like items, which is items like this. Like I could put this here. But when you go to the guild storage, it's the same. Items, materials, it's like the same. It's like kind of weird. Like, so there doesn't seem to be a difference between them. But anyways, this is the easiest way to transfer stuff back and forth between characters is now I can go in here. I can log on to any of my characters that are in this guild, come to any city, talk to the guild storage clerk, and have access to these items. So, hey, what's up, TK? I'm going to bed, guys. I'm tired. But anyways, yeah, the game needs a lot of work, but I do feel like they're certainly making corrections to make the game better. I don't know that I'm, you know, like, for example, they took the servers down at 1 a.m. for 3 hours, and right here, all realms are down for an update. Estimated return time was 2 hours ago to return 2 hours ago. So it was before I am. So when the realms are back online, we will provide updates. So the realms are down for 3 hours, and this is the update notes. So the warehouse storage improvements. Warehouse should now open more reliably and respond more consistently. That's a good thing. And fishing lure behavior corrected. That's good. Ocean boundary safety added. Characters and ships will no longer be obliterated when reaching the edge of the world. That's interesting. I never reached the edge of the world. Instead, they'll encounter a firm but invisible boundary. That's actually a good change. Like, wouldn't want my ship to be obliterated. Ember Spring stability fix. Ember Springs will no longer occasionally disappear. Okay, that's good. Mount Health regeneration fix. This is something that's existed in the game ever since I played it. Mount Health has never regenerated. So apparently they fixed that. That's actually a really good change because, you know, like if you went through your mounts always would die because they would every time they got hit by mounts, which is pretty frequent, their health would get lower and lower, and it would never regenerate. So, eventually your mounts just died. Now, and they would respawn with full health, but it took 10 minutes. So the fact that now that they regen on their own is really good. And mount health rebalance, mount health values have been adjusted based on mount level. So I'm not sure. I didn't know mounts even have levels. Like, so that's kind of weird. But anyways, I'm going to bed. I hope you guys have a good one. That's kind of my feedback on the game. I think the game is a good game. There's a lot of fun gameplay loops, and I think it could be a really, really good MMO. But there's a lot of change there's a lot of things that need to be fixed. There's a lot of things that need to be polished. The game needs a lot of polish. The optimization needs to be modified. If we can get to the point where these things happen, then yes, this game could be good. Will it ever happen? I don't know. I have doubts that I don't know. I mean, I hope it does, but it's a lot of work, and we'll just have to wait and see. It's going shitty, but that's how it's going, and I'm gonna go to bed. I'll catch you guys later. Hope you guys have a good one.